This is an audio recitation of an article from thethirdself.com from an anonymous author. I must preface by saying that I am aware that I can make life easier for myself by using AI to narrate this article instead of me, but the effect will be polar opposites thanks to the causes. AI is a medium that is already perfect. Humans are a medium that are trying to be perfect. There is a world of difference. By trying to be perfect, you can still produce great work, but with the magical, subtle mistakes, sweats, and nervousness that computers can't emulate as of right now. As Brian Eno says, the problem with computers is that there is not enough Africa in them. Now I will recite this article, titled Moved to Tears, When Art Makes Us Cry. Why is it that some forms of art can make us get all verklempt, and others are less likely to do so? According to art expert and author Philip Hook, paintings and sculptures are less likely to cause someone to weep than music, film, or books. Hook theorizes that this may be because these art forms are more dynamic than static visual arts, and thus more powerful in touching our emotions. That said, many paintings and other visual artists do cause people to cry. According to Hook, spectators of work by Mark Rothko, the American abstract expressionist, are often moved to tears. Apparently, there are on-staff counselors at the Rothko Chapel in Texas, which is exclusively decorated with large abstract Rothko paintings, to provide support to art lovers who become overwhelmed with emotion in the chapel. Why would Rothko's work stimulate tears more often than the work of some other painters? Hook believes that there is something about the large expanses of color which Rothko deploys with such subtlety that puts the viewer in touch with the absolute. Is it a sense of tapping into someone's unconscious, spiritual, profound, and sensory when viewing a Rothko that causes people to start crying? Hook notes that Vincent van Gogh's work are also among those most likely to make someone tear up. This may be for different reasons than with Rothko's paintings. Most art lovers are aware of the poverty, emotional suffering, mental illness, and initial lack of success Van Gogh experienced during his life, as well as his early death by suicide. Thus, people looking at Van Gogh's paintings may consciously or unconsciously project poignant and even tragic meanings onto them. Many viewers cried when visiting Marina Abramovich's performance piece, The Artist is Present, in which Abramovich silently stared at each stranger who sat in front of her. In fact, I cried watching the short video about The Artist is Present, to which I have linked here. Participants in this piece have said that the experience felt deeply intimate, even religious. Perhaps one reason that viewers reacted in this way is that in our day-to-day lives, we typically have very few opportunities to make sustained and sanctioned eye contact with another person, particularly a stranger. Many of the ways in which we interact with others and with ourselves are superficial and avoidant. Our connections are mediated by technology, and we often stay busy or distracted in ways that prevent us from sitting with ourselves. As an exercise during my psychology graduate program, we were paired with a fellow student and had to sit quietly while making unbroken eye contact for 15 minutes. It was very challenging not to look away and indeed felt extremely intimate and moving. The reasons for art triggering tears are varied, as are the types of reactions people have. In some cases, people experience more extreme emotional and physical reactions to art than just crying. Stendhal syndrome, named after 19th century French author Marie-Henri Bayel, better known by his pseudonym Stendhal, is a psychosomatic disorder with the symptoms of rapid heartbeat, dizziness, confusion, fainting, and sometimes hallucinations that occur when a person has an experience of great personal significance, specifically viewing art. In other words, people may have become overcome and overwhelmed by an artwork. Stendhal had these reactions when visiting the beautiful Basilica of Santa Croce in Florence, where several iconic Renaissance artists and scientists, such as Michelangelo and Galileo, are buried in the walls. And the walls are adorned by Giotto. Versos. Stendhal wrote, quote unquote, "I was in a sort of ecstasy from the idea of being in Florence, close to the great men whose tombs I have seen. Absorbed in the contemplation of sublime beauty, I reached the point where one encounters celestial sensations. Everything spoke so vividly to my soul. Ah, if I could only forget, I had palpitations of the heart, what in Berlin they called nerves. Life was drained from me. I walked with the fear of falling." Although Stendhal syndrome is not considered an actual psychiatric disorder, there is scientific evidence that the same cerebral areas involved in emotional reactions are activated during the exposure to artworks. I feel that these cerebral areas must be particularly sensitive for me, as I find myself crying pretty often when reading a moving novel, watching an emotional TV or movie scene, watching amazing dancers, and even at some commercials. That said, I have never fainted in front of a painting or had heart palpitations at the theater. I will post the link to this article in the description.